Militarily Speaking, Season 2, Episode 5. Heather Walrath with Navy Mutual Aid Association.
This episode, we talk with Heather Walrath with Navy Mutual Aid Association.
We put that twice on there.
We did.
Didn't we do? Did you prepare this today?
We do it every time.
That's like 28 episodes ago that's
I know,
been in there.
I know.
Welcome to Militarily Speaking, brought to you by Armed Forces Bank. This is Tom McLean and Jodi Vickery. I wish Jodi weren't here today. I am the military retail executive for Armed Forces Bank, and Jodi's our, you know what Jodi is? Well, she's a lot of things, but she,
well, careful.
For the company, is our chief digital officer.
Yes.
Heather,
yes.
Do you know what a chief digital officer does?
Sounds like something where she's getting paid a lot of crypto or Bitcoin.
Noted. I'll have to relay that in my
this
upline.
This is forever recorded.
Yes. Well, so I'll make a note of that. Best point of the podcast. Let's see. Welcome to the show. We're super excited to have you listening and learning all about our guest, Heather Walrath. I am going to take just a second, Heather, and tell our audience a little bit about you. Heather is Navy Mutual's financial educator and military benefits liaison. She's enjoyed working with military members and their families for the last 16 years. She's a 2009 FINRA Military Spouse Fellow and is also an accredited financial counselor through AFCPE and a military qualified financial planner and an accredited veterans representative. She's worked as a personal financial counselor with all branches of the military, including the Guard and Reserve components, and she's considered a subject matter expert on military survivor benefits. She's been a featured contributor to magazines, lots of them, Military Spouse, Military Family, Guard and Reserve Magazine, and a featured speaker with MOA, Blue Star Families, Mill Money, the ARC of Northern Virginia, AFCPE, and Student Veterans of America. She was awarded the FINRA Military Spouse Fellow Mentor of the Year in 2024. Heather has also served our military community for over 25 years as a military spouse. Thank you for your service.
Yes.
And is an advocate for transitioning service members and spouses, facilitating financial education and survivor benefit program presentations at military installations across the country. She also assists with VA disability claims and VA benefit eligibility, and she uniquely understands the challenges and unique opportunities of military life. And she's thankful that her family has finally settled in Northern Virginia with her husband's retirement from the Air Force in 2023.
And thank you for his service.
And thank you for his service. Yes. So welcome, Heather. It's an honor to have you on our show. And I appreciate you being with us. I'd love for you just to tell our audience a little bit about Navy Mutual in case they're not familiar, maybe sort of a macro overview. And then I'm sure Tom will pepper you with all kinds of questions as he's prone to do.
Wait, one thing.
But first, he's going to interrupt me before we even get started.
So we're on like this run of financial education because we had Bruce McClary, we had Lacey Langford. So we're keeping the trend alive. We wanted to round it out with a trifecta of you because you're going to put a bow around the financial education world, right?
It's a lot of pressure.
No.
I'll do my best. Yeah.
Well, when we get these published, we'll put you first then in front of those two of them. No, but we're ready. We're ready for you because if Jodi keeps interrupting, we won't get to what we really want to talk about today.
Oh, pray for me, Heather. Tell us a little bit about Navy Mutual. Take us up out of the Tom quagmire.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. It's my pleasure. So Navy Mutual Aid Association, we're actually the oldest federally recognized veteran service organization in the country, which I think is a very cool trivia fact. I'm a history geek. Yeah, it was started by some naval officers after the Battle of Little Bighorn, which obviously was not a naval engagement, right? But got the thought process going. Some naval officers passed the hat on the basement of the War Department down the street here in DC and said, hey, we're going to take care of our own. Well, that has morphed. We now provide life insurance to all branches of the military, NOAA, Public Health Service, and veterans, but very small niche, just active duty and veterans. So that is one part, our nonprofit life insurance part of this. But then we also, the other two tenets of the company are financial education. So we provide financial education to anyone, and also helping folks apply for the benefits that they're entitled for service. So not only the veterans, but their surviving family members as well. So any type of benefit. So that's the side of the house that I'm on. So I became an accredited veterans representative, kind of that side of it, after going through the process with my husband and realizing there's not enough people out there to help our veterans through the process. So now that's another hat that I get to wear here at Navy Mutual.
That's awesome. And that is a complicated process. I know when my husband retired, we were asked a bunch of questions that we might answer differently now, a few years down the road in hindsight, but you don't get to go back. So,
well, Heather, on a personal note, too, you and I met briefly on a prep call. Then we met at the AMBA annual summit in Colorado Springs. It was last month. And I said, before we even started talking, I said, she's got to be on the podcast, right? She's got to be one of our podcast guests because she's pretty intelligent. And it was nice to be able to respect all that you bring to the table. So thank you for saying yes. And I have to pay you in Bitcoin for showing up today from our chief digital strategy person.
I got to get some Bitcoin first.
But we also talked about the alphabet soup because you got a lot of acronyms next to your name, right? Isn't it like 17 different titles and certificates?
It's not that many. I keep trying to be as cool as some of my peers, but
But talk a little bit about the career. You kind of said that in the bio when Jodi talked about you, but also just the work that you do and the tenets that you support with Navy Mutual. But talk more about the career, about what was your passion? What was your lifeline? How did you get into this?
Yeah, so I think like many military spouses that are married to someone that's gone a lot, married to the job. We used to joke that was the third person in our marriage, right? The Air Force. My husband deployed 10 times, so he was gone a lot. And we used to give that back and forth, the financial responsibilities share. And then it just got to a point where I was running our household finances. In 2009, I saw the opportunity for the FINRA Military Spouse Fellowship, where I could get the scholarship to pay for my training to become an accredited financial counselor. I was really interested in that. So I was accepted in that program, thankfully. Took some time to get my hours because I had little kids and I had to do a lot of volunteer work to get the hours. But that's been something that's been a really important part of our military journey as well, because that accreditation allowed me to work wherever we landed, different installations, doing a lot also with the Guard and Reserve component, kind of on demand as they needed things. And then I was able to work as the financial counselor on the installations at a couple of installations where he was assigned. So it allowed me to kind of expand on a professional level and still support the military community kind of in a different way that he did, but as our family still continued to serve. So when we got to DC, of course, we avoided the Pentagon for 21 years. And then the 21 years got to the Pentagon, and he immediately deployed for a year. Boys were a little bit older, so I wanted to kind of get back into things again. Navy Mutual had a part-time opportunity, which was great to be able to do the mom hat, the kids stuff, and the professional side. And at the time, it was mostly teaching blocks about the survivor benefit plan. That's something unique that Navy Mutual has with our long relationship with the Navy is we serve as their referral source for education, specifically for survivor benefits. So very complicated program, the DoD survivor benefit plan that allows a portion of a military retirement to continue. Not a lot of information about it. The regulation, of course, like any government regulation, 67 pages long for this one program. So I really enjoyed that because it was one of those blocks where you could tell when you walked away that you really made a difference in being able to bring the facts to the table. So I started there doing a lot of classes around here in the National Capital area. Then we've expanded in our education role, helping a lot of installations augment their programs. So they have to have accredited financial counselors on installations to facilitate certain classes. Sometimes they're without a person, sometimes person's on leave, the billet is open. So we're stepping in and helping supplement a lot. And then we've also started to do a lot with ROTC units, which has really been fun to reach those young, soon-to-be officers to kind of get them started right in terms of personal finance.
That's awesome. And that kind of leads right into at least one of my first questions is, so as you're working with that younger group, ROTC, or even newly enlisted, what advice do you give them right out of the gate as they start what could be just their first stint, and maybe they don't want to make a career of it, or what could become a 20 plus year career for them? What advice do you give them and things to be mindful of right from the beginning?
Great question. Yeah, save from day one. I was just at VMI last week talking to a big auditorium, and it's hard to come to a 20-year-old and explain to them why they should save for their 60-year-old self, right? Because, you want to have fun, right? You want to get the cars. But I think we've got really great tools now in terms of apps and calculators and visuals to show them the time value of money, right? When I can get in there and tell them, hey, every dollar you save at age 20 is going to be worth $88 when you're 65, all of a sudden they look at me in a different way, right?
Right.
So planting that seed, about what's possible, and then also how to really utilize those military benefits. So, you both know there's a lot of benefits in the military that aren't taxable. If you're able to maintain your residency in a state that doesn't have income tax, that's more money in your pocket, right? What are you doing with that money, right? How are you making that work for you? So, and the biggest thing is taking advantage of the TSP. I used to run into a lot of people with a thrift savings plan that were like, oh, I don't want to do it. It's the government. I want to put my money someplace else. But when you peel back the layers of the onion and you explain how low those expenses are within TSP and how not paying expenses just makes your money expand and go further, very eye-opening. So I think those are the biggest ones about how you think $50 isn't going to matter to save today. Oh, it's $50. That's not going to make or break me. It totally does, right? To set your future self up for success. I love to use this example because everybody wants to buy a car, right? That's the first car. Well, the average new car payment last year, 2024, was $736. $736.
And that was probably even amortized over 6 years, and it was still that.
Probably, yeah.
I think my first car didn't cost much more than $700.
Right.
Well, it had two wheels.
Amazing.
Maybe a little bit more, but not much.
Yeah.
I remember my son telling me first he wanted a pickup truck. And I'm like, God, that's a great choice. All proud, like a very, reliable car, functional, safe. Till I realized how much pickup trucks cost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how is that possible? They don't even have a roof on the back, right? But anyway, $736 for a car. Okay.
Jeez.
S&P 500 stock market has returned 10.26 over the last 20 years. So instead of having a $736 car payment you invested, you have $500,000 at the end of 20 years, right? And again, that starts to get them thinking. And I'm not saying don't get a car, right? You need a car, but you get a nice used car with a $400 car payment, bank the rest, that's still $250,000. So just thinking about our future self too, I think is an important part of the conversation.
That's real money.
And I think the saving side of the house is great. And it's a good discussion for the young enlisted too. But when it comes to credit, what do you say about that? Why credit scores matter? Does that come up?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, I also like to ask them, what are some things you wish you had known about money before you started college, right? And one kid said in the back, like, debt's okay. I was like, let's expand on that a little bit more. Like, what kind of debt are you talking about, right? But I do think we have to have that conversation about credit because it's really hard to survive in the world without having any credit. I disagree with Dave Ramsey on that one for sure. You got to have a credit card. And if you use it to your advantage, it's a great tool. But there's that extra level of responsibility for the military because they have clearances, right? And not being able to manage your money well makes you vulnerable. I was teaching out in San Diego once and sitting in the hotel room, and on the news that night, 2 sailors were arrested for selling secrets to China, right? It happens. And then just in terms of a leadership role, right? Every young person in the military is going to be a leader in some capacity. And if you can't manage your money, if you can't be responsible in paying back your bills, your credit, how can you expect someone to follow you?
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
So it's a very important part of life, but especially military in terms of promotion, security, and just leadership skills.
I expect at the end of the show, we're all going to say, I'm debt free the Dave Ramsey way, right? now we'll probably get charged for saying that, right?
Not with a mortgage in Virginia. Heck, I wish, but yeah.
Hey, mortgage rates came down for like an hour and then they went back up again. So, never know with the Fed.
It's something.
Yeah, we're never going to move though because our interest rate's like 2.25.
I know.
So
That's the quagmire in which we live, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the word of the day.
Word of the day.
Okay. So common challenges, Heather, that you see for when you work with active duty, when you work with any stage of that military journey, what do you think those biggest challenges are today? Is it the affordability of goods at a grocery store? Is it PCSing? Is it expenses that are unexpected? Is it retirement income? I read a stat, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the average retiree has like less than $10,000 in a savings account, or 60 some odd percent of them have nothing saved for retirement, which goes back to your earlier point about educate them early and often and gear them up, put that 20-year-old person into that 60-year-old body and figure out, fast forward and stop thinking about the here and now. But what are the things you're seeing?
Definitely retirement. I think some people overestimate the value of a military retirement, which it's substantial. I mean, you don't find pensions like you do for serving in the military. You can come in at 18, serve your 20, and start getting this pension check at age 38, right? But it's not enough in most cases for someone to live off of. So sometimes I think they defer saving for retirement because they think they will stay long enough to earn that pension and underestimate the value. I've also seen people that certainly intend to do that, to stay, and then life happens and they get out and they don't earn that retirement and didn't take advantage enough of other military benefits just in case. I know in our case, the conversation did change when my husband finally hit 20, and then we knew for sure he was going to have a retirement. Then we started changing the conversation a little bit about how much do we want to keep pushing into retirement accounts versus how much do we want to save for today. So I think that is part of it, is kind of underestimating the value of that pension and then assuming they're going to get it and then life happens. And then failure to save those emergency accounts because they have the security of the job, right? Unless they do something stupid, in most cases, they're not going to get kicked out, right?
Yeah.
So their civilian friends could get laid off, right? Something could happen. So they assume because I have this guaranteed job and this income that I don't need to have that level of savings so that when something happens, money doesn't always hit on time in the military, right? We've seen that with the government shutdowns and things not getting paid. Even my husband's last active duty check took 4 months and 22 days to get paid, right? So money just doesn't always hit like it's supposed to into the government. So I think that savings is a very important component of that. And some of it's about choices. I do see people lose money in PCSing, but you don't always have to buy new curtains. You don't always have to have 3 dogs. There are certain things you can do to mitigate those costs. So a lot of that is about choices.
Just for the record, Jodi has 5 dogs.
I have 5 dogs.
Oh, which you're not moving with them
Do
right
you
now.
want one?
No, she's not moving.
I'll send you one.
She's willing to give away 3.2 of them. Yeah.
Yes. All but one have like a problem too.
I actually love my dog more than my children. So I understand these days my dog is more important than the kids.
Yeah.
So he's always happy to see me. He doesn't complain about what I have for dinner. So I get it.
Yeah. My husband collects them. It's like a hobby.
And Jodi she and I are Chihuahua dogs.
Yes, 4 of the 5 are Chihuahuas, which is a little hectic.
I have 3 in my life.
Yes. And 4 of the 5 have some sort of malady about them that makes them interesting and probably.
No, so they're little. So like you said, it's really 2.5 dogs, right? If you combine them all.
Yeah,
together.
they make enough noise for like 12 and a half dogs, though.
Yeah, but she's got one dog that's like 612 pounds, right?
It's like a bathtub with legs.
She's a pickup truck.
Yeah. She's the heavy hauler. So you kind of started to touch on another. So we're kind of chasing through the military life and the things that it throws at you. So we talked about new recruits and a little bit about retirement. You started to touch on the frequency of moves, PCS, deployments when you're living maybe on opposite sides of the world. What advice would you give to families in any or all of those situations to properly manage finances, to make sure you're staying on top of it? Because sometimes taking an ATM withdrawal out in Germany and somebody else is living at, Fort Hood, Texas, you can get out of whack kind of quick.
Yeah. Power of attorneys, definitely. But you can't have general powers of attorney anymore. No, nobody will use them. You can't walk into a bank to get access to something with a general power of attorney. So I think it's really important that you work with your financial institution to find out what do I need to access these accounts? Because even sometimes having a joint account, there's some things that the primary account owner can only do, right? Even if it's joint. So that's important. Every institution is going to vary a little bit, but access to password, things like that, you assume you can get access online, but now we have all of these push notifications, right? So you forget your password and it goes to the spouse's phone that's deployed and not active and all of that.
Right,
so
right.
I think technology brings a lot of challenges in terms of accessing our cash, but that's definitely a consideration is making sure that the person has access, and those powers of attorney, I think, is one of the biggest ones. And then having money dates. I feel like we don't stop to talk about these things in the military until deployment is about to happen. And then nobody wants to talk about it, right? You don't want to have that business mind. You want to cherish those last few days that you have to do something fun, not talk about your finances, not talk about, do you have an adequate amount of life insurance, what your spending plan is going to be for the deployment, because you know you're going to have to hire a babysitter more, go out to eat, right? So if you do it periodically, once a quarter, and make it a money date where you go out and you have some fun, you talk about other things, and not make it so taboo, then I think it's much more effective when the time comes than talking about it when it becomes a stressor.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then it doesn't feel like in your situation, I became the one, and still to this day, I'm the one that sort of manages the day-to-day finances of the house. But to be able to know that you've got that time set aside to talk about it, it helps to at least maybe feel like that burden shared a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
At least it would, yeah.
Yeah, and learning your money personalities, right? I mean, my husband and I have very different money personalities. I'm the saver, of course. I'm a financial counselor. He's the spender. And sometimes working with someone, right, a counselor or a financial planner, to kind of integrate those pieces, it's great. We have a financial advisor, even though money's my jam. I really like to do this stuff, but when it's your own money, it's different.
Yeah.
And I can say something to my husband and he doesn't hear it, and our advisor will say exactly the same thing. Oh, that's an excellent point.
Isn't that true? That the credibility factor. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But it's helped too in those money personalities where, she can say, Heather, it's actually okay for you to spend some money. You guys are good. Yeah. And Sean, maybe you don't buy that C8 Corvette this year. And I'm like, yes, I didn't have to be the one to say it, right?
Yes, I'm not.
Even though you told
the bad guy.
You told the financial advisor to say it, but when it's said, it's not from you.
Well, don't give away all my secrets.
All right.
Now.
Well, that's why we're here. But by the way, that money date thing, is that something you patented or trademarked? Is that a real thing? A money date?
Yeah. I mean, no, it's not trademarked, but yeah, just having a money date. You have dates where you go out, you have dinner, you get drinks, you watch a movie. Well, while you're at dinner, pick a topic to talk about. Hey, let's talk about our college savings accounts. Let's talk about our life insurance. You don't have to do it all, but maybe once a quarter, you address one of those things.
Yeah. That'll be a takeaway today. And you mentioned earlier about passwords or access or push notifications, and being that we have the chief digital officer here, she's all over that stuff because we do a really good job here through our vendor and through managing that, because sometimes the primary account holder, you're right, is the one that has the credentials to get into online banking or mobile banking, and the spouse or the other joint owner isn't part of that process. And that's the education part that we can do as banks, credit unions, and financial educators.
Definitely. And I would even argue, don't forget about the other way.
Hey everyone, if you're looking for a little extra financial flexibility to take the family on a vacation, tackle that home renovation, or just get through the ups and downs of military life, we've got some great news for our military listeners.
Absolutely. Armed Forces Bank offers access loans that are perfect for handling life's unexpected expenses, consolidating debt, or even making that big purchase you've been thinking about. And with our fast approval process, you can get the funds you need quickly and easily without all the hassle.
At Armed Forces Bank, about 75% of our team is affiliated with the military, so we understand your unique needs. We've been supporting military families for over 100 years, and we're here to help you take control of your finances.
Whether you're active duty, a veteran, or a reservist, we're committed to offering you flexible terms and competitive rates, making sure you get a loan that fits your life.
So if you're ready to take that next step, head over to afbank.com or visit a branch near you. Armed Forces Bank, serving those who serve.
Member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Origination fee applies. Direct deposit relationship required. Loan terms are based on loan amount.
Don't forget about the other way, meaning life doesn't always go as it's supposed to, and you get divorced, right? And then you forget to take people off your account, and don't replace them. So that's just as important too. So anytime there's those major life changes, just reassessing where you are financially and who has access, beneficiaries. So many people don't realize that bank accounts have beneficiaries as well, right? We just think about that in terms of life insurance, but you can have a beneficiary in your other accounts as well.
Let's shift gears to your website. And it's almost like you're your own company because you're pretty knowledgeable in this space. But going back to www.navymutual.org, that's probably the first time we've said that today. That's the correct website, right, Heather?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So when people go out there, like I did for hours, what will people find, and what are some benefits of going to that site? What are some of the maybe programs that are available, resources that are available if they don't talk to someone and they're just looking through and perusing the site? Are there some great tools out there for them?
There's all kinds of things. We've got a great marketing team that really keeps that website up to date with some great things. So you can go online and even get a life insurance quote. That's what you're looking for. Just do it all virtually, or you can talk to somebody. You can call. We have live people that actually answer the phone, which I'm very proud of. And then we have our whole education tab that has a lot of blogs about all kinds of different personal financial topics. Transition from the military, having a kid, TSP accounts, savings accounts. So a lot of very good relevant information for the military community. We also have calculators on there in terms of calculating retirement, calculating life insurance needs, a lot of really good resources. And then we also link to official DoD sites. So if you need to contact the actuary, if you want to run the DoD actuary calculators in terms of your survivor benefit plan, you can link directly to there and know that you're getting the most up-to-date information. And also VA, because we're a veteran service organization, a lot of resources about VA benefits, changes in the law. So it's a great one-stop shop, someplace that you can trust that everything's going to be up to date. I think that's the hardest part about the world we live in, information. There's so much information.
Overload. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't know what's correct, right?
Yeah,
what's credible.
what to trust and where to find it. Yeah, it's nice to have that all in one spot, certainly.
Mm-hmm. I remember I was doing a home loan class one time, and I was just trying to Google the current rate on something. And I was Googling VA home loans and things. I actually ended up getting a virus on my computer because I clicked on something that I thought was a VA site, and it was something completely bogus, right? So that's scary, out there to watch for those kinds of things. So yeah, using your trusted resources, I think, is really important. And that's why we are working with the member banks, the military member banks. There's a certain level of trust as well that when you're going to those resources that the information is going to be current. And that's what we have on our website.
And even if I'll put a plug in for AMBA, right, with the Veteran Benefits Banking Program out there, there's over 100 banks and credit unions that have passed and been vetted the test of finding a value proposition for people that have integrity. And
definitely
that sort of puts it all together about trusting Navy Mutual and trusting certain programs out there. And certainly you can test, check, but verify, but all that. But it's nice to know that we've got a credible source with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to get you to talk some more about the survivor benefit program. You've done.
She's a specialist in that.
I know. That's why I wanted
with
to
all
talk
that
about
accreditation, those
here,
letters,
Tom.
and there's a Q in it somewhere, right? In her acronym, isn't there a Q in there? Like
there is, yeah. The Military Qualified Financial Planner,
the
MQFP, right?
But is there an easier way to say that or not?
MQFP.
I don't know. I didn't come up with it. I'm just along for the ride on that one. So
Tom just wishes he had alphabet after his name.
And
you could just start putting random alphabet letters.
I could be like SBP, right?
No, you need to come up with something different that doesn't actually mean anything. Like L.
You could be a survivor benefit.
4L.
No, but survivor benefit plan, again, that very misunderstood program, and a lot of information that floats around out there that's not correct. In fact, the past 2 years, my New Year's resolution has been to get off social media. Like, let's take a break. But I can't help myself. I'm bored. So I get on, I scroll, and I'm like, oh, that's incorrect. That's incorrect. And I feel this need, right, to have to be there to fix everything. But, as we mentioned earlier, the military pension is very valuable, right? Nobody has a pension that's that good a deal. But it ends when the retiree dies. No more money for their family. unless before they retire, when there's a million things swirling around about what's next, they decide to participate in the survivor benefit plan and then pay a premium. So there is a cost to participate. So trying to help members navigate if that cost is worth it, if it's not, what the value of their benefit is, I think is significant. A lot of times I'll see discussions on social media or articles. Hey, did you take SBP? Yes or no? Well, my problem with those discussions, everybody has a different benefit, right? An E6 who is in 20 years is a very different than an O6 that was in for 30 years, right? So the first part of this is understanding the value of your own benefit when you make the decision. Everybody has a different number about what retirement means, right? So deciding first what it's going to take to fund what you envision for your retirement, that's important. And then you can decide how you want to accomplish that. But one edge that SBP has is that it is a lifetime inflation protected benefit for the survivors for a spouse for life. So if the spouse lives to be 110, they will always get this monthly inflation protected income. It can never be used up. It can't be capped out. So I think for a lot of people, especially as our life expectancy is longer, very valuable benefit, but not necessarily the best choice for everybody.
She looks at me because she thinks I'm next, which I am.
Yes.
I'm going back to what letters I can put after my name, like MMFI, right? Make me feel important.
You could work on that.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah.
You do? Should I keep going?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, I like that one. MMFI.
I will come up with another one before it's over. So you've been in this for a couple of weeks, doing this, right, for a living. So any story or two? I'm going to skip around a little bit on this too, Heather. So I know you like to play by the rules, but Jodi likes to change the rules. So we're going to go out of context here and talk more about the story or two, that the sort of that why behind what you do. You talked about what a great career you've had, what a productive career, and how you've helped so many people over the years. But is there one story or two that comes to mind that says, wow, I made a difference? Because, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
True.
Right, Heather?
True, yeah.
And you love what you do. So does Jodi.
Yeah. And I'm not all about the rules. I just sometimes like to try to be a little more efficient, because ask my kids, I'm sometimes like, that's a dumb rule. But
it's good to play by the rules when McLean's involved.
Right.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
we
that's
literally
right.
would be here for 4 days.
You're
you
just
can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
just trying to catch up, aren't you?
I am.
But I think probably my most memorable ones have to do with survivors, right? So I remember talking to a widow who called somehow, had called DFAS, they didn't know, had called Navy, they didn't know. Somehow they got connected with us. They said, call Navy Mutual. And we actually get that a lot. I called DFAS, they didn't know. They said to call you. I called Fleet and Family, they didn't know. Which on one hand, I'm sad for that person because they're getting passed around so many different places. On the other hand, I'm thrilled that they got connected so we can get them all squared away, right? But this particular widow, her spouse had died on active duty. Okay, so understand that benefits are very different whether you die on active duty, after you've left service, and things like that. But she was really having some financial problems. 5 children. She wasn't able to work because she had MS, so she had some challenges. And her home was in foreclosure. Okay, so she was trying to figure out what else there was. Well, as I'm talking to her, I realized that she wasn't getting her full survivor benefit or her SBP benefit. She wasn't getting that. What happens with survivors is they get the benefit for life, but before age 55, they have to certify that they are not married. If they remarry, the benefit is suspended. Well, things happen in life. There's lots of things swirling around, household to manage. She missed that deadline of certifying she was not married. So the benefit stopped. Okay. And it was a good amount of money, $3,000 or so. And she just didn't realize, right? We also realized that she was not getting the Social Security benefits that she should have. So in the end, we found about $5,000 of missing benefits that we were able to get turned back on for her. Life-changing, right? She got her home out of foreclosure, right? We were able to help her set up a budget and explain, what benefits were going to end when the children aged out. At age 18, what would continue. So she had a little bit more confidence that she was going to be okay. And I think that is one of the most important parts of my job is there are a lot of benefits, but sometimes people don't know, and they don't know, so they don't apply. So the more education we can do about potential benefits, you always tell people, apply, make them tell you no, right? Make them tell you don't qualify. But if you don't apply for things, you're not going to know. So that was a special case that stands out because that was life-changing, and they were benefits that she deserved. So that was a big one. But I will say every time I go on installation and teach part of the transition classes about the survivor benefit plan, just the facts, never there to tell anybody what to do, but it's always like, let's get the facts so you can make an informed decision. And they're like, gosh, now I get it. Like nobody explained that before, right? So just taking some time, right, with people to explain things in different ways. Some people like pictures, some people like words. So what do we need to do just to make sure you understand your benefits?
I love that story. And I'm sure you have stories upon stories to stack. So you're making a big difference in the lives of a lot of
Big time,
families,
yeah.
for sure. As you think about the work, the good work that your organization does, are there ways for banks or other financial institutions to partner either with you or with on-installation organizations to help collaborate and provide some of this financial education? I mean, I know for us, we have a lot of our folks, I think 85% or so, that work in our field locations that are connected themselves to the military. So they've literally walked a mile in the boots, so to speak. So to me, it's like, what better people to partner with and try and to say, here's things to think about, or here's things I wish I'd known. What kind of opportunities for that collaboration exist that you see?
Definitely. I love collaboration. And I will tell you, there's a lot of programs on the installations, but it's hard to get operating space there, right? And they do have a lot of services, but those services are typically 7:30 to 4:30. And if you've got a working spouse, or you've got childcare, or you've got things at school, those hours are not always conducive, right? So that's where I think our community partners can really come into play. Have special seminars for your military customers about their benefits, that they could hop on a webinar in the evening or Saturday morning, have some coffee and some donuts, right? Because sometimes those times are just a little bit more workable, right? Hey, did you know that we do VA loans? Why don't you come in and you can learn about the VA loan, that you have to have cash, right? That's one of my biggest things people don't know. Oh, I got a VA loan. Yeah, no down payment. I don't need any cash. No, let's explain this, right? As members, you're getting ready to deploy, maybe once a quarter, you host a deployment seminar about those things, like those passwords and accessing. And maybe you have a notary there that can do those power of attorneys, right? So that they can access the account. So I think part of that is really meeting them where they are, not trying to replace what is offered on the installations, because then it gets harder. They get rivalries going on, who's better, but to augment and to bring the services that aren't traditionally that 7:30 to 4:30 type thing. And I always challenge banks, especially when you're saying you're a military friendly bank, what does that mean to you? Right? What does that mean that you're military friendly? How are you actually supporting them in terms of education and additional benefits that you can offer them for being a customer? So there's definitely great ways to collaborate.
I like the way she said that. Just let's look in the mirror, whether you're any one of our competitors or ourselves. Make sure you are living up to the reputation that you built over the years, because we've been in business since 1907. And it leads me to that an off-subject question, which is really rare for me. But, when you think about you're expanding beyond the Navy, you're doing all branches of service. Have you ever thought about a name change?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because honestly, my husband was Air Force, so I had never heard of Navy Mutual before.
Well, you wouldn't connect the dots, and you would think that would be exclusive membership, just like,
right.
Now we're Armed Forces Bank, which covers a plethora of services, including Space Force.
Right.
But yeah, blessing and a curse. That's what it is.
I don't know. That's many pay grades above me, but I do know that we are very proud of our history.
Yeah.
Right. And it was the history. It was founded as Navy Mutual Aid Association. Now we've shortened it a little bit officially. A lot of the documents are just Navy Mutual. But I think that's part of it. And, we're that nonprofit history. And I think on some levels, if we change the name, yes, we'd be more encompassing. But we would lose that history a little
True.
bit, that history
Yeah.
that makes us
The
different.
legacy.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, the legacy as the nonprofit. We're also one of the few that offer services to NOAA and public health. And it's been interesting to learn about the histories of those branches as well, because they're sometimes the stepchildren, not eligible for all the things, even though they're considered veterans and they're considered uniformed services. So yeah, I'll ask Brian. He's our retired Rear Admiral CEO. What
Do a
he
focus
thinks.
group.
But,
Yeah.
but we've got a very proud history of supporting sea services, but now it's open to everyone.
I think he'll be proud of how you're representing Navy Mutual today.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you.
Definitely.
It's my pleasure.
We'll wrap this up with definition of financial success, right? Which I think it's different for a lot of people. Some people it might be, I made my mortgage payment on time. Other people it might be, I want to reach a certain dollar amount in my savings account, or it could just be how you manage your finances on a regular basis. And so maybe from your personal perspective, maybe on you and your husband, or even in what you see as far as helping people live better lives, how do people typically define financial success? Is it debt-free? Is it, I've got $500,000 in the bank? What is it?
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, personal finance is personal. Okay. What I like to say is, it's not my job as a financial counselor to tell you what to spend your money on. It's my job to make sure you have money to spend it on what you want, right? So I think that when you say I'm financially successful, you sleep at night, you pay your bills, and you're not worried about the future, right? But that is going to be a different number for everyone. I mean, I didn't think, here we are in our 50s, that we would have a mortgage, but life takes you different places. And we didn't actually buy our house because we're moving around so much until we settled here in DC. I don't think there's anything wrong at all with having this mortgage right now. The house is building a lot of equity, right?
Agreed.
I'm very comfortable with that.
And you're at a rate of 1.67%. So yeah.
Yeah, just about,
I know.
right? So to us, that's financial success. The mortgage doesn't bother me, right? But, you work hard. So what does that success mean for you? And I also think that having this obtruse dollar figure that you're trying to attain doesn't always work, because you have to figure out the life you envision. What is the cost of that life, right? If it's you're living in this little cabin that you inherited from your grandmother that you redo, that is one number. If you're late in life buying your lake house for all your grandkids to come to and adding an addition, that's a different number, right? But as long as you can fund your number, live in that space, I think that is financial success. Some people are trying to leave a legacy, right? Personally, I tell my kids this all the time. I am planning to spend all my money, right? I have launched you, right? You be successful. So what means financial success to me if I can spend it all on travel?
To spend all of my money.
That's right.
I'm going to
Don't
quote
count
you on that.
me,
I'm going to
right?
go home and say, guess what I learned today?
Yeah. Well, there is a great book, and the author's name has slipped my mind. You have to look it up, but it's called Die with Zero. That's kind of that concept where sometimes we're saving all this money. Well, the point is, like, if my parents were to pass away, I'm so thankful I still have my parents. They're getting up there. And they talk about that. Like, we want to leave you. I'm like, I don't need your money now. Like, we're at a great place. I could have used your money 20 years ago, right?
Right.
So it's kind of that kind of thing where maybe you start a little earlier helping your kids with the down payment for the house at that point, and then you spend it and you die with zero. So financial success is what helps you sleep at night.
Can't take it with you.
Let's just say you can't have a hearse, but what's that expression?
I don't know. I've never heard this.
All right.
It'll come to you later.
That's what I'm afraid of. I office next to him.
Yeah, I think best when I walk the dog or drink wine. Those don't usually happen at the same time. That's when all my thoughts
They
come.
can happen at the same. Yeah. That's
Anything else, Tom, before we wrap up?
no.
I don't think so.
We should probably tell our audience what our favorite movies are.
No, let's not. But let's play a game.
All right, let's play a game.
So
the games.
It's not going to be like it's not Lacey Langford where she does two
and
truths
we
and a
actually
lie.
won't put you on the spot.
This is
so,
64 truths and 18 lies.
Ready, go. No, it's Military Minute. And it's a trivia game, but we are not going to put you on the spot. But last episode, our Military Minute question for our audience was about our guest alma mater. We've had this alma mater.
But Bruce McClary,
Bruce
you know Bruce
McClary.
McClary, right? Do you know Bruce McClary?
I don't think I do.
NC.
Probably should, right?
Yeah, he's in the financial education space. He lives in the Seattle area.
Oh, yeah,
on
Bruce.
the other coast. I don't know. He's probably running some circles, right?
I guess
Yeah.
when I said Seattle, she knew exactly who it was.
Right. Oh, yeah, Bruce in Seattle. I know him. Anyway,
That's a show, isn't it?
he was our guest last week, and he graduated from Old Dominion University. And so our question for our audience was, what was the original name of Old Dominion University? I would say it'd be very intriguing if you knew the answer, but
I feel like I should, living in Virginia,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I can't say that I do.
Maybe we're going to educate you today.
Yes.
Fail.
So you could bring this up at dinner parties, maybe. I don't
Yes.
know.
Or while she's drinking wine and walking
Walking her
her
dog,
Yeah.
walking her dog and drinking wine. So the original name of Old Dominion was the Norfolk Division of the College of William and Mary. That's
Interesting.
one
I
of
thought
those
maybe she'd
facts
say,
that
oh, yeah, that's
doesn't
right.
run around in most
Yeah.
people's head, including mine.
So it was part of the William and Mary at one
Yeah,
point?
and they're very
Isn't
proud
that
of that.
interesting?
Because aren't you a history buff? As I recall,
am.
we could play it
Yeah.
back. All right.
It's okay.
She's
That's
like,
all right.
that's
Gotta live life real.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're in our audience and you answered Norfolk Division of the College of William and Mary, watch for your name to be dropped for $50 for yourself and $50 to a charity of your choice. But this week's Military Minute is a question about a famous Heather in military history.
Do you know why we did that?
I'm going to wager a guess that it's because our guest name is Heather.
This was a stretch.
What is the last name of the famous Heather known for her heroic actions on 9/11 as an Air Force pilot when she flew to intercept United Flight 93? Don't answer. But if you're in our audience and you're a smart cookie or you're great at Google, find Heather's last name and
She's thinking about it
put
right
that
now.
on. She's Googling. I can see her. She just leaned forward.
Mhm.
Add that to your comment when this podcast drops. And if you're right, you could be entered to win $50 for yourself or $50 for a charity of your choice. That's a good question.
I like it.
That's a great one. I can't believe I don't know that because I don't really meet people named Heather. And the Air Force,
Yeah.
Jeez.
Wasn't there,
what a
isn't there
slacker.
a movie about Heathers?
I think I found it.
Don't say it.
I
I'll have
won't.
to bleep it out.
Now I'm going to read the rest of the afternoon. I'm lost to the world.
Well, you're welcome. Enjoy your afternoon then. That's all I got, Tom.
Well, I think Heather Walrath did a fantastic job today, don't you?
Outstanding. It was a pleasure.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're very welcome. If you enjoyed today's episode, go to afbank.com and subscribe to the show. Also, you can rate us or leave us a comment about how you wish Jodi wouldn't be a co-host on your favorite. Did I write that? On your favorite podcast platform. So you can go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Can't wait to have this one published because if I'm taking notes, you got to believe everybody else is taking notes, right, Jodi?
I gotta believe it. It was a real treat to meet you, Heather. I'm glad that you met Tom and decided to come on anyway. So
I know. Could you believe
appreciate
she said yes? Because she thought it was somebody else when she first. You did great.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. I hope you have a great afternoon. I'll look forward to doing it again sometime if you'll let me.
Great job.
All right. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Heather. Copyright Armed Forces Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All non-Armed Forces Bank owned apps, websites, company names, and product names are trademarks or registered trademarks of their respective owners. Their mention does not imply any affiliation with or endorsement by Armed Forces Bank of them or their products and services. They are merely used as examples of the many available apps, companies, and websites that offer similar services. Before using any app or website, you should carefully review the terms of use, data collection, and privacy policy. Apps may have an initial cost or in-application purchase features. This information is general in nature and is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Although Armed Forces Bank believes this information to be accurate, it cannot ensure that it could change. Statements or opinions of individuals referenced herein are their own, not Armed Forces Bank. Consult an appropriate professional concerning your specific situation and respective governing bodies for applicable laws, such as IRS.gov for current tax law. Armed Forces Bank, the Armed Forces Bank logo, and the Militarily Speaking logo are registered trademarks of Armed Forces Bank.